Hello and welcome aboard the Knitty Stew podcast. My name is Leanne. I am the Knitty Stew. Stew, if you are new to the podcast, is short for stewardess. I'm a Canadian flight attendant and an obsessed knitter, and this is my YouTube channel where I pack you in my suitcase, bring you on the road with me, talk all about my knitting, my works in progress, and show footage of the cities I have the privilege of staying in as part of my job as a flight attendant. So welcome back to anyone here. This is episode 42. I'm coming to you today from a very, very hot Las Vegas, Sin City, Las Vegas. It is 40 degrees here today, which is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Holy Dinah. Toasty. I have an air-conditioned room here. And I figured I'd take this opportunity to podcast because it has been weeks and weeks. The last episode was the first week of May, maybe late April. And somehow here we are. It is the middle of June. And so I have a lot to share with you today. And for the footage today, I am having a run at these days. Flying has changed. Summertime flying is usually, for me, and traditionally, and I've been flying for 17 years, is usually my favorite time of year because of the East Coast layovers that we get. East Coast of Canada is beautiful. Things have changed. There's a lot of growing pains in the industry and stuff and demand between Canada and the United States. So I'll just let you use your imagination, but what I can say is that unfortunately my long layovers, they are few and far between. So I figured I'd take today in this beautiful hotel here in Las Vegas. And while it is 40 degrees, I will literally melt in that. I'm not going out until later, until it's, a cooler 38 Celsius, which is probably, what is that still, 102? That's crazy. And I'm going to stay hydrated, visit with you guys about all the knitting things. Ice cold bubbly. I brought this in my lunch kit. I'm not sure if this is, it says it is bottled in Canada, but I don't know. I'm all about sparkling water. This is the cherry flavor, bubbly. I am a fan of the new flavor called orange sherbet. It tastes like a creamsicle. It's so good. So anyways, I would invite you to grab your knitting or crafting or whatever you might be working on today, and a beverage of choice maybe to settle in, and I'd love to talk to you about all the things. The episode today will have 5 finished objects, 3 works in progress. I hope my lips are going to work today. Speaking of my lips, they actually don't look too bad at the moment, but I am having some sort of, hormonal situation, allergic reaction, ongoing chapped lip situation. And I was like, perhaps it's karma from making fun of Davy Weisgerber in elementary school. He always licked his lips so bad, and he always had this huge red line around his lips. I don't think I made fun of him, but I was judging him in my elementary years, and now this is my situation. So, okay, I gotta stay hydrated. And I actually did make a doctor's appointment because I've tried all the things. Vaseline, Aquaphor, this special stuff by Lee Swatche, like all the things to get these lips to chill. And on the flight down today, they were so cracked and dried that I was embarrassed. And anyway, there might be a few deviations because I'm so excited to be talking to you today. I was talking about works in progress. Yes, before my lips failed me. I have 3 works in progress, which is kind of a lie because basically I've only been working on 1. And then 3 dream knits. And then for the footage, you will have noticed at the beginning of the episode, I took a video of the final approach stage of the flight into Las Vegas today. I just thought it looked so neat. The desert and then those round circles, which look like alien crop circles, but it's actually center pivot irrigation fields, which is not as exciting, but kind of interesting. The reason they do that is because the drip irrigation is closer to the ground. So when it's super hot in the desert, traditional irrigation would evaporate quite quickly, so that's why they have it close to the ground and it spins in a circle. And apparently they're on wheels, so they can move those units around, and that's why maybe there's so many of those circles. Whoa, kicked the tripod there. Anyways, that's the footage that I've got included there. And then at the very end of the video today, I have included footage of my B.A.M, which was birthday, anniversary, Mother's Day excursion. My husband Dave and I went out to a place called Lake Minnewanka, which is a gorgeous place. I live in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, Calgary, Alberta. And you know, when something like that is so beautiful in your backyard, sometimes you can take it for granted. So we had always talked about doing a tour of Lake Minnewanka. So I booked it right for my birthday, and it also happened to be Mother's Day, and I also didn't realize it, but it was the very first day of the boat tours on Lake Minnewanka, which is a Nakota word for Lake of Spirits. So it is a very sacred place, and it was so beautiful. So I'm going to put that footage at the very end for you. And one final thing I was thinking about as I was getting shuttled to the hotel, I'm like, you know, I am in the heart of many of Gordon Ramsay's restaurants, and I didn't pack a lot in my lunch other than my bubbly and some of my smoothies. So I was thinking I might pop over to Hell's Kitchen, which is in Caesar's Palace, and also next to Hell's Kitchen, there's a British pub also owned by Gordon Ramsay. Big fan of Gordon Ramsay, thanks to my daughter. She got me right into him, and I might do that. So if I do, I'll put footage of that as well at the end. So sorry, no knitting shops here in Vegas for me to show you today, but lots of knits. So let's get to it. Before I jump into finished objects, I wanted to mention that if you'd like to connect with me, I can be found as the Knitty Stew on Instagram, the Knitty Stew on Ravelry, and I do have an email address, all linked below, including a Ko-Fi account. Or if you have any questions or want to make a comment, please leave that underneath in the video comment section, and I will get back to you. And I do also link my notes about all the projects I speak about, all my finished objects and works in progress, and people that I mention will be in the description box below this video. If you click more, it'll be down there. Okay, first finished object is my 5th Ranunculus. This is the only other summer version I've ever made except for my very first one, which was in May of 2022. I used BC Garn Bio Balance, which is 55% wool, 45% cotton, to make this short sleeve version. I'll back up and give you a little view of how cropped I made it. Before blocking and hanging it, it was 16 inches from the top of the collar to the bottom. So it is quite cropped, and I made it to go over my sundresses, and it matched all my sundresses. I will say that the yarn I'm finding is easily wrinkles easily. And I did notice that because I already steamed this before I sat down to film, and it's already got a couple of creases in it. However, I really enjoy working with it. Perhaps it's not the best summer yarn with such a high wool content, but I have lots of this left. I think I initially bought 6 skeins of it. It comes in 50-gram balls. And I used very little for my Look at My Holes by James N. Watts. And then this one only used 1.64 skeins, which is 441 yards, so 90 grams. So I still have 2.5 skeins left of this 618 yards left. But so I do like the yarn. You know, it's not, I wouldn't say the ultimate summer yarn because of the 55% wool, but I do like it. I knit it in the natural, actually I think it's called White 01 colorway, and yeah, it matches all my summer dresses. I use the same formula that I have been using for my Ranunculi, and what that is I use a US 2.75 millimeter needle to do a German twisted cast on for the neck. So you'll notice that it's a little bit different than the original pattern. And I knit a size 1, and the numbers for the size 1. I do switch up to a US 6 for some of the ribbing, and that's a 4 millimeter. And then I use a US 8 5 millimeter for the lace portion, the yoke, and the body. And I also use a US 8 to cast off the short sleeves. I just put them back on a needle and used a knit 2 together through the back, place back on the left needle, knit 2 together through the back loop. Just kind of a loose bind off, but not too flary. I don't do some of the rows of the lace. I omit those, and those notes are in my Ravelry page, which I'll link. The other thing I did this time that I didn't do last time is I put in a few short rows. I didn't do the ones after the neck, before the yoke, but I did put 3 random back and forth short rows. I should speak this way so you can hear me. At the back, so that it would be slightly longer in the back. And yeah, that's Ranunculus number 5, a pattern by Midori Hirose. Almost doesn't need to be, goes without saying, this pattern is incredibly addictive, and there'll be a number 6. I am pleased as punch about this next finished object. After many attempts, this is my 6th try at a lightweight colorwork beanie using Shetland wool and some colorwork. This time I used Spin Cycle dyed in the wool, and this is Jameson of Shetland's Spindrift in the earth colorway. I think I might have got the right fit for my little beanie head. I like a snug fitted beanie, and every time I've done this, the ribbing has been a little bit too loose, or I did too much in the body, or it was a little bit, it was moving around when I put it on. So check this out. B.A.M. It's perfect. I can go for runs. I can move my head around, and it fits a treat, as my mother-in-law would say. So excited about this. I have my numbers now. So what I did is I used a US 2.75 millimeter needle for my ribbing. I did exactly 8 rounds of knit 1, purl 1. Then I switched to a US 3.25 millimeter needle and did 40 rounds of the chart. Did I say what pattern this is? This is the Iris hat motif by Trin-Annelie. The hat pattern itself is very thorough, has a lot of modifications. Leanne went rogue and basically just took the 40 rows of the chart that I needed, and then at that point switched over to a US 1.5, which is it's a 2.5 millimeter. So that was for my crown decreasing, and I used magic loop to do the decreases, and a circular decrease, which I think has allowed it to be flat and not too pointy. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it. As you can tell, this also was the first time I had worked with the Jameson of Shetland Spindrift. I've used J&S 2-ply jumper weight tons of times, but I'd never used the Spindrift. And this is the colorway Earth, which I love. Look at this. It's green, brown, little flecks of yellow. Love it so much. And all I have is 9 yards left, literally 2.27 grams left of that. That was my main color. So I used a total of 23 grams. And then for the colorwork sections, I did some color management. I moved the colors around using the Spin Cycle dyed in the wool. Spendy yarn, but you really don't need a lot of it. And this is the Ghost Ranch colorway. So I wanted the green to start and then switch to blue and then the pink. And I still have these little odds and sods of it. Yeah, about a $42 difference between the spin cycle and the Spindrift. But it was a nice treat to myself when I wanted to do some color work. And I have been really good about shopping my own stash. And what ended up happening is for most of the year, which was, I shouldn't say that, was basically from January until, I want to say I made it till the middle of April. Whenever Brooklyn Tweed announced that they were no longer going to be making yarn, I panicked. It's like one of my favorite yarns is Loft. So I was like, I better get some Loft before it's not available anymore. And once I opened that can of worms, I started thinking, oh, well, and next up is birthday month. So I may have got myself some Spindrift. And Anyway, it started. And I did get one other quantity for my birthday yarn, but I'm back. That's it. I'm back on the wagon. No more buying yarn unless it's one skein of sock yarn for a specific pair of socks. That's my rule. I'm going to get back to it. Had a little slip there, but anyway, yeah, so that's finished object number 2, my spring hat, but it's actually the pattern motif from the Iris hat by Trin-Annelie. Next up, my finished object is a pair of DK weight socks. These are the Bear Paw Socks pattern, which is a toe-up DK sock by Andrea Mowry. Essentially, it's like the DRK everyday sock, which I've made a few times, only DK version. I had originally tried making a pair of bed socks using a very beginner-friendly pattern called Easy Peasy Socks, but I wasn't loving the fit, so I switched over and made these ones instead. I really enjoyed working with this Novita, which is a Finnish yarn, 7 Brothers, although it's Aran weight. So it's 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and I knit them using a US 4 3.5mm needle, doing magic loop. Again, it was toe up. Oh, my hands were mad at me afterwards. I was getting hangnails, and I actually switched one of the tips on the left-hand side to a US 3.25mm needle, and then just kept the US 4 3.5 on the right-hand side because I was finding it rather thick, but I do like them, and I love the color of this yarn. This is color number 64, and it has it in finish, which I won't attempt. We'll just call it brown, color number 64. I used a total of 88 grams. And the thing that I changed on these socks was I switched out the heel, which is a Flegel heel in the pattern. And instead I used my favorite Wintry Woods toe-up sock formula from Nancy Wheeler to calculate where to start the gusset increases. And then I did her German short row heel and the slip stitch heel flap, and carried to the top and bound off with Jenny's surprisingly starchy bind off. So that's my next finished object. My second last finished object is a 2x2 ribbed beanie called Red Wing, a pattern by Meghan Babin, which I had in my library for probably 6 years. This pattern is what my body and mind and my heart needed. It is a simple 2x2 ribbed beanie in fingering weight yarn using a 2.5 US, which is a 3mm circular needle. I used a German twisted cast on and used a US 3 for the cast on edge, and then I switched over to the 2.5 and followed the paid pattern, which it is a paid pattern, and I just knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2 to 8 inches, and then I switched into the decreases, and the pattern decreases weren't lining up as I had hoped they would. So I switched to a free pattern called Ribbed Beanie by Emily Baudouin. I'll link all of this below to get the ribbing to line up a little bit better with the decreases. Now what I will say is I used slip knit as it suggests in the ribbed beanie decreases, and I've started using the Patty Lines method it's called the One Move SSK, slip knit, to really tighten up my SSKs, but I'm still finding them, I just find them sloppy no matter what I do. So for version 2, and yes, I have cast on another one, I'm going to actually do K2 tog. Knit 2 together. I don't care if my decreases are not leaning to the left. I just think they'll look so much tidier. And yeah, the story here is mostly about I needed some comfort knitting, and also I was yarn curious. The original pattern, the Hudson and West pattern, is made with Hudson and West Company weld, which is 70% US Merino, 30% US Corriedale. But with exchange rates and our Canadian dollar and shipping, etc., it was just cost prohibitive. So I went on to Yarn Sub. I'm not sure if everybody knows about Yarn Sub, but I put in the Hudson and West weld and tried to find a good match. And this is Exmoor Sock by John Arbin. and it came up as a good match. And I really love it. I love how that looks. It's got so many blends in it. It's actually superwash. 60% Exmoor Blueface superwash, 20% Cordell superwash, 10% Zwartbles, and 10% nylon. So it is superwash treated, made in the UK. 50 grams, and you get 200 meters. And all I used was 41 grams. I guess I could have made it longer because it really is a one-size-fit-all pattern. And I've just really loved the mindless piece of it. But it's a good fit and very lightweight. But I ended up still with 39 yards left of this. And a little shout out to the Fiber Nook, because I found this online. The Fiber Nook is a yarn store in Edmonton, so just north of Calgary. And the skein itself was $16.99, but to do shipping with Canada Post would have made it, I think, almost the same price for the shipping. So they were able to, I asked if they would vacuum pack seal it and send it letter mail, which was only $5. So yay! Thank you to the Fiber Nook for that. And I love the other colors of this too. What a great blend. I'd like to try making actual socks with it, but I was just needing, a simple beanie on my needles. And what a great gift for Get Gifting Make Along 2025. How about that? Which is a knit along hosted by Old Time Knits Marie. So I don't know. This red is really ringing my bell right now, so maybe I'll keep this. We'll see. All right. One more finished object, and the pièce de résistance. I saved it to last. I am so proud that I finished it. This is the olive cardigan coat, I'll call it. A pattern by Ivana Sturm, Nude Knits on Instagram and Ravelry. And I honestly forget where I was last time when I showed it to you, but I finished. I got really, really hyper focused on it because I don't know if you guys do this, but I was using as a reward the next knits that I wanted to do. I was like, I really want to make some more things for my great nieces on the way. So I want to make some baby knits, but no, I have to finish this cardigan, which I'd had on the needles. I'd cast on January 26th, and I finished, entirely finished on June the 1st. And I inserted a zipper. Oh my gosh, what a journey this has been. I learned so much from this knit, and I'm gonna put it on for you because I've got a few things I'd like to say. First of all, there are only 6 sizes in the pattern, which is something that I hadn't really noticed. I was just super hyper focused on the fact that I used 2 yarns in my stash, McCausland Unspun, which is a Canadian pencil roving, and Woolly Knit, which was in my stash in a dark brown color, and it was their 4-ply. And I used those 2 together, got a gauge and a fabric that I liked, and then picked the pattern. Now, the sizes, it ranges up to the largest size, 52.5 inch, and I made size 2 in the pattern, which is fitting me, not large, not small, not too fitted. I can envision me wearing this camping by the campfire, getting this to smell like camping. And look, the zipper, it works. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay. I should have taken some footage because I'm actually a little close, but it's actually looking quite light in the camera. It is a very, oh look, it's even still got pieces of veg matter in it. I love this so much. I love the details. The full twisted rib on the collar, down the raglan, and all along the sides. Behold. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did it. And the length, it is, I'm just gonna say it. The only thing that would make this better is pockets. And installing a zipper was well outside my wheelhouse, so I'm just not gonna discuss pockets at this time. I'm just gonna sit in the AC and talk a little bit about this pattern and the journey that I went on to make it. It's made with large needles, 6.5 millimeter, and which is a US 10.5, and then a 6 millimeter US 10. I actually ended up using one of my older needles I used to use on a regular basis, Knitter's Pride wooden needles, and I used a 7 millimeter, which I think translates into a US 10.75, because I was finding the knitting back and forth, the flat part into the body section, it was starting to get to me. So I switched up that one size, and I really feel that it didn't change my gauge. I have checked it after. This cardigan coat has been blocked, washed, and wet like 5 times at least, because I just kept wanting to make sure that I was going to get the fit right. I do believe I followed the pattern exactly on the arms and the twisted rib cuff, and the length and all of those specifics. I can't really pull those out of the top of my head, but I feel that the look of this jacket is so classic, and the total weight. Now I need to figure out my yardage and how much I used of my McCausland unspun and how much I used of the woolly knit cone. It's kind of tricky to get that information. I have to take the cone out, like the cardboard part, and then weigh it. And then the unspun, it comes in plates. So that's also a little bit tricky. But the grams, like the total weight of this cardigan coat is 477 grams. So what's a pound? 454 grams is 1 pound, so it's just over a pound. And so warm. Like, I mean, I can't believe I'm even sitting in the air conditioning wearing this when it's this hot here, but I love it. And I have to brag a little bit about this zipper situation. This installation, I was so psyched up for this. Hold on, just a sec. So this is how it went down. I went to Fabricland and I got a 27-inch zipper. And I got it in brown, and I liked the gold YKK zip. I thought that looked really nice together. And then on repeat, I watched Mary Beth Temple's how to install a knitted zipper or a zipper into knitted fabric on YouTube tutorial repeatedly. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I can do this. There's step-by-step instructions. You pin it in place, you do a basting stitch, and then you do your real stitch. And I pinned this thing and my zipper. I will actually insert a picture because I took a picture of the pinning. Now, if that's just me or just because of the stretchy nature of fabric, but I was like, that looks awful. That's a dog's breakfast. Forget it. And I was gonna give up, but then I thought, you know what? No, it's now or never. Like, I was done everything except for the zipper. Oh, and I forgot to talk about the band that I used. The pattern has buttons, and you finish the cardigan and then you do a double knit button band, which Ivana Sturm has a video showing how to do the left and the right. And I tried to do my own button band and it looked awful too. So the last part of this was getting me. So I ripped out my little garter stitch. I was like, it's fine, I'm just gonna add a zipper anyways. But it didn't look good. So I ended up doing what is suggested in the pattern, which is a double knit button band, which I had never done before. It's just a bit time consuming. My husband was watching some of The Godfather, and I feel like I watched like a couple of the movies before I finished this sucker. But it was worth it for the look. And then to the zipper insertion piece, like that pinning, it almost did me in. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go rogue. So I took the zipper, and this is definitely not how to, this is just what I did, okay? I don't know if this is a recommendation. I knew, to me, the most important thing was that my zipper would go all the way to the top of this collar, because I've had a cardigan before where the zipper wasn't long enough and it didn't go all the way to the top, and it looked quite silly. I wanted it to be right to the top. So I unzipped the zipper and I laid this flat on a countertop. I was in Hamilton and I had on a very calming podcast, Carly Page. And I just started at the top, which is obviously not where you're supposed to start, but I started from the top and I just started basically doing back stitch down all the way. Now it ain't perfect, and it's could probably use a little reinforcement with an actual sewing machine. I got to the bottom and I went, hot diggity. It's just a tiny little bit, too long on the top, so I folded that over so that the zipper will stop. And it went right to the bottom, and I went, okay, that's the right side. And then I did the exact same thing, started at the top and held it flat and worked on a countertop as I backstitched all the way to the bottom. And then I stood in front of the mirror and held my breath. I was like, okay, the zipper went in, it's holding. Is it going to go all the way to the top? And I just was so, oh my God. I took a picture, sent it to my husband, posted it on Instagram. So excited that I actually managed to do that. That was way outside my comfort zone. I learned a lot from this project. Very pleased with it. All I can say is that sometimes we have to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, and also the whole finding gauge and then finding a pattern that we really like that works with our gauge. As I am a relaxed knitter, that if I just use the pattern and then try and find the yarn, often I find that's harder for me. Even patterns that say a DK weight gauge, I can often use a sport weight and get that gauge. So I liked this reverse choosing of a pattern with gauge first and fabric that I like first, and then this double knit button band. That was a new skill. Never done that one before. And what else? Oh, the zipper. Clearly something new. But okay, that's it. That's my final finished object, my olive cardigan by Ivana Sturm. And I will just show real quick my works in progress and then some dream knitting, and I'll wrap up the episode. On to works in progress, which is actually a bit of a misnomer because these are my works, but not a lot of progress. So here's my works. I'm continuing with the garden cardigan, pattern by ANKESTRiCK. I am making size 2, and I have finished the body, including the ribbing. This is knit with a US 6 4mm needle in this beautiful lace pattern. Very cool, back cast on, picking up and working the button bands at the same time. So no double knit picking up for this one. And then for the ribbing section, it's a US 4 3.5mm needle. And I used the Hiya Grandma's stretchy bind off for that. So where am I at? I need to pick up and work the sleeves, which will be fun to work in the round. But I put this down and I really just went ham on my olive cardigan, as you saw. So I'll just show you the finished body length. And then hopefully I have this as a finished object in my next podcast. So that's the length I chose to go. It has been wet blocked and laid flat to dry. I love it. It's gonna be absolutely a piece of art when it's done. I love it very much. I'm knitting it with Sheep Soft DK by Laxton's in the colorway Dentdale. The Sheep Soft DK I got from my friend Christine of woolenwaves.com, and she is bringing in more Canadian dyers, and this is on a major discount right now, I think. Not fully sure, but this is this is UK yarn from Laxton's. But that's what I got so far. I just stalled on it entirely, but once I get going on the sleeves in the round and working lace in the round, right now it's like a vest. But yeah, that's my first work with zero progress other than the body. Now, yes, at least I did finish the body on the garden cardigan. This has had absolutely no love at all whatsoever, and I'll tell you why. This is Misurina by Caitlin Hunter, which was basically supposed to just be a gauge swatch, and then I carried on and start getting into the chart. I have done absolutely nothing more on this. I was working it up here in the Bell, Drop Spell, and Saona by Wool Dreamers. There was a few comments on the last video that folks had made this with the Drop Spell and found it kind of heavy, which was my concern because I do find the Sandnesgarn Lena to be heavy when it comes to being summer yarn. So I just stalled on it. I was having fun with the color work and the cool texture, which is lace and cables. But I think I might reclaim this yarn and start another pattern, which I'll show you up next in my dream knits. But yeah, I would like to have this Misurina because I really like how that looks in every project that I see, but I think I might want to do it. Maybe not as a summer knit, maybe as a like more of a fall knit. So this may get frogged, so that's is possible. Although that's, you know, quite a decent gauge swatch, right? But yeah, that's not got any love since the last episode. The one project that actually is a work in progress, and I'm holding it in this tote that I got in, you know, one of those like fiber exchanges or yarn exchanges many years ago. I want to say like 2018, 2017 maybe even. And this person sent me yucky wool yarn, but they sent this Stitch and Hustle bag that you wear when you knit and walk, which is something I've started doing. So I've cast on another Red Wing 2x2 knitted hat with another skein of precious fingering weight yarn. And I'm actually already started the decreases for the top. I made this one a little bit longer than 8 inches. And I've been going for walks knitting my 2x2 beanie. I absolutely love the way this feels. And I could see me making a ton of these because I have quite a few precious skeins of fingering weight yarn. This one is from Wool and Twine Fiber Studio. She's a natural dyer in Germany. Her name is Eula. She also has a podcast. This is Colorway Walnut, and it's 75% Blueface Leicester and 25% Mid-Brown Massam. Spun in the UK. And there's no itch factor at all. And I've got this far, and I still have this much left of the ball. And I also made fingerless gloves with it. Turns out 400 meters goes a long way. Yeah, so that is my one work in progress. Oh, and I wanted to say that I actually dyed this bag using Rit dye in the dark green. It was basically the color of like this, kind of a off-white, almost yellowish. And I used some Rit dye, a bit of salt, and I got this really cool deep teal. Yeah, it's uneven, but I think that adds to the charm of it. Anyways, I like it a lot. Just a little bit of Rit dye. I got that from the craft store and dyed that bag. So that is my one active work in progress. I'm trying to stay, you know, focused, centered, calm, and that's all I can do right now is 2x2. Maybe there'll be another sock on my needles soon, but in the meantime, I will show you my dream knits and the things that I would like to cast on next. So I'd like to round out the podcast with some eminent cast-ons, dream cast-ons, and a few podcasts that are bringing me joy. First of all, I had alluded that I had fallen off the no shopping outside of my stash yarn situation. And when you see this, you will probably understand. So what I want to make next was inspired by Anya of Ranunculus podcast, which is in West Ireland, I believe, Northwest Ireland. Beautiful podcast. She makes amazing knits, and she also sews, and she shares often some Irish cultural readings and history. wonderful, calming podcast. And she was wearing one of her first garments called The Childhood by ANKESTRiCK. And I started gauging with the yarn that I bought myself for my birthday. And here it is. It is my first ever purchase from Sonder Yarn. And it's called Fleece and Flax is the name of the base. It's actually a little bit darker. It's maybe, yeah, like that. The colorway is called Wanderlust. I could not resist. I got a newsletter at a vulnerable time, and I was like, birthday yarn. It is 28 stitches on 4 inches, so it is a fingering weight yarn. And I gauge swatched with it on a US 5, 3.75 millimeter needle, and got the gauge for this childhood sweater. So this is going on the needles. Yeah, it's middle of summer, but I do knit like heavyweight garments at all times. Although I will show you next that I actually am going to make a summer knit. But I am so excited about this. It is 75% BFL and 25% linen. And just, I love it. And I want to show you my gauge swatch. I almost knit a toque. I was having so much fun knitting with this that I went well over the required 4 inches for a gauge swatch. I knitted in the round. And what I did is I put it on and put it around my neck. And I wore it around the house all day on Tuesday. It's amazing. It feels so good. And the fabric is just making me extremely happy. And this color, it's just all the things. So I'm ready. I think I've got the brain space. I think the childhood is going on my needles next in Wanderlust Fleece and Flags. Yay! Okay, the other imminent cast on, that is actually a summer knit. I just purchased Ivy Top by Petiteknit, and the pattern is just a simple tank with that little like mini funnel. I really like that. And I recently got this little tank top, and I love the way it fits. So I figured I would measure the armhole depth of this new tank that I found at Suji Shear and match it up and make a knitted version. The pattern calls for holding Tin Lena double, which I do have, and the gauge is 20 stitches over 28 rows on a 4mm US 6. Looks like a really straightforward quick knit, and you finish as you go because the edges look like they're just I-cord. So that's next, or soonish. And then the other two things, reasons I wanted to finish my olive cardigan were to make some cute things for my nieces to come. And I saw Bethany, look at this thing, Harry the puppy. I was watching Bethany, an older episode of Bethany of Well Loved Knits, and she was talking about things that she made for her little one that actually stood the test of time. And she showed this Harry the puppy, which I'll pop a picture up here because it is so cute. And I really think my nephew Joshua and his wife Keely would love that because they love little dogs like that. So their baby is coming up in July, or is it August? But anyways, there's 2 more great nieces to come, so I want to make that. And also this pattern here, Misty Lily by Gabrielle Danskknit. I just really like the button motif down with the lace, and it looks like it's a well-loved pattern. It's from 2016, and I saw quite a few projects, and so I was thinking that would be another nice knit. And I always use the Lottie cardigan, which is a garter stitch. That one actually has never failed me, but I was thinking maybe I'd try something a little different. And I think that is all for the dream knitting, so stay tuned for that. and I wanted to share some podcasts that are keeping me company. Thank you everybody for your kind messages and comments on the last video. We are in the final weeks with my mother-in-law. She's actually had some good days, and we're spending as much time as we can with her right now. But in the meantime, when I'm just knitting away and needing a little comfort, I am absolutely waiting every week to watch Noelle and Kelly. They are Knits and Pieces podcast, and they do a live, they call it Knit Chat Cafe on YouTube every Tuesday evening. It's 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is that's my time zone, and they're out in Kitchener area, and they do just a wonderful and very informative chat, and they show their works in progress, and they answer questions, as they're both very, very well-versed knitters and have lots of experience. So I'm loving that. So please check out Kelly and Noelle and Kelly on Knit Chat Cafe on Tuesdays. And then I've also been watching Cozy Meadow Knits. So Sophie, I talk about Nancy all the time, from Knits of Happy, Cozy Meadow Knits. She's also from the east coast of Canada, New Brunswick, and unfortunately my east coast overnights don't seem to be happening this year. But I like to hang out with Sophie and watch her podcast, and her and I tend to have very similar tastes, so my queue grows every time I watch her. And also Carly Page, who I referenced before, who kept me company while I installed my zipper. Carly Page is a Calgary-based natural dyer, and oh my gosh, she is talented, and she also knits and sews, and she has a podcast. So Carly Page, I'll link all of these in the description box below. And finally, I wanted to someone who is bringing me so much joy and a great amount of comfort lately, who I found about 9 months ago, I want to say, when I was looking up how to scour wool and how to spin wool. His name is Rajiv Surendra, and he is a fairly large YouTuber, and his account and his YouTube channel is like a meditation for me. I absolutely adore his content and how he delivers it and what he talks about. Like, it's everything from how to get your whites the brightest, how to iron a dress shirt, to watercolor painting. He's very talented. If you need someone to spend, half an hour with or less, it's not knitting content per se, but it is, I'm just finding great peace watching Rajiv. That is all I wanted to show and tell today. I'm going to probably venture out right now and see about this Gordon Ramsay food situation. If I do that, I will put footage at the end, and also at the end of the video, as I mentioned, I'm going to put the footage from Lake Minnewanka, just near Banff. So thank you everybody for joining me here today. I will return as I can, and probably be a few weeks again. Whipping out all of these whips felt pretty overwhelming, so I hope I didn't forget too much. But please know that I'm so grateful for everyone that shows up and spends time with me and chooses to engage in the comments and in this wonderful, loving community that we have going on here at the Knitty Stew podcast and in the knitting world in general. I think we could all use a bit more kindness and understanding, and I'm grateful for you. I'm going to stop babbling now and hope you're having a great time crafting or knitting or whatever you're up to this summer, or another season if you're on the other side of the hemisphere. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you next time.